Here's what's coming up on today's show.
Look at all the tools at your disposal, not just the stock market.
Correct.
It's not just stock market and cash. It's not just the bank or the stock market. There's other tools at your disposal to be able to create these income streams that you need to.
Welcome to the Income for Life Show. If you're looking for some common sense retirement planning ideas and want to hear how we make the complex financial world simple, then listen up so you can learn how you can stay retired. The Income for Life Show is powered by Folds of Honor, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to providing educational scholarships to the families of America's fallen and disabled service members. Now, here are your hosts, Matt Nelson and Nick Schilling.
Welcome to the Income for Life Show with your host, Matt Nelson, along with my partner, Nick Schilling. Thank you very much for listening to us today on what is turning out to be a very interesting holiday season that we have here at the end of 2020. And as usual, I'm sitting here with Mr. Nick Schilling. Nick, how is your holiday plans going? How have you been?
Things are going well. Excited to be here, Matt. You know, 2020 has been a very odd year. It seems like it took forever, and it seems like it went by really quick all at the same time. Kind of hard to believe that we're just in the week of starting the holiday season. That kind of changes everybody's mood as to how the year's been, what to look forward to, and maybe even part of the time where people start to get together with family or talking about plans and also plans for the future, what 2021 and beyond looks like as well.
And it's really weird, and you kind of hit it right there on the head, Nick. This year has been slow and fast, kind of at the same time. We're already here, end of November. We're getting close to Thanksgiving time here. Holiday season is upon us. And this year has just seemed like also on the flip side of that is just drug on and on with the COVID, with everything, the shutdowns, the economy. I mean, this year has been bizarre, I guess would be the best way to say it.
Correct. And, when you look back at it, it's going to be one of those years for the history books. And when you start looking back at all the things that have happened this year, it's kind of wait, hurry up. Wait, hurry up. Some things that are happening right now and just got through the elections. Things are starting to kind of finalize from that, even though it was 3 weeks ago. There's still some things to finalize, but we're starting to get through the actual structure of what that is. We have the pandemic kind of spiking again, but on the tail of that, there's talks of a vaccine. And now we're getting into kind of holiday sweep season where Black Friday and earnings calls for different companies are coming as well. So it becomes a time of a lot of things happening in the year. And what we always try to tell our clients is we got to focus on what we need to focus on and not get enamored by some of all the other things that are happening. And this is one of those years where you can get locked into all kinds of different things that are happening, but you need to get back to the basics and start focusing on what you can control.
You're exactly right, Nick. And today's show, we're going to discuss that. The title of today's show, we're going to call it Trust Your Gut. And the reason that we're going to be calling it Trust Your Gut is because with all the things that are happening, that have happened this year, from the Federal Reserve to the economy to COVID to new election, new president, all of these things that are completely up in the air, people not knowing what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, yet the market is still, approaching an all-time high. So what is going on with all of these ramifications that just scream negativity, that scream volatility, yet we have a market that is still just going like gangbusters. So today's show, we're going to dive into a little bit of just some common sense retirement thoughts from you and I, Nick, that we're just going to call Trust Your Gut. And there's just so many different ways we can go about that, and so many different ways we can discuss it. But we're also going to be able to have a link or two on this podcast with an article, Nick, that I want to introduce to you as well that we found that is from Fortune magazine.
Interesting.
And on this article, again, this will be posted right on our podcast here at incomeforlife.org. So definitely take advantage of this link. But it states how a guaranteed lifetime income can make you happier. How a guaranteed lifetime income can make you happier. So we're going to go through a little bit of that as we go along here in today's show. Because on Fortune magazine, they're talking about, do you have a plan for happiness in retirement? So given the volatilities, given the so many scenarios that is just scaring the heck out of people in retirement planning, I think maybe having a little bit of ideas about how you can have a happy retirement might be beneficial. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, I agree completely. And I look forward to talking about that article because I think it ties in really nicely with not only what's happening right now, but how we want to talk to our clients and the listeners on this podcast about what we need to focus on and a happy retirement, the things that you need to do to achieve that, how that's maybe changed from generations previously, I think is perfect to talk about. And when we start, what you mentioned, Matt, and I like the title, kind of trust your gut, I think what we mean by that is not ignore or don't trust what's happening right now, but take a wider and a longer view of what's happening. Right now, as we sit here right now, I think the Dow Jones Industrial Average is at all-time highs.
It's approaching 30,000.
Above $30,000. Everything, if you look at it on the bottom of your screen or on your phone or wherever you look at this stuff, everything is green. But underneath that, I think we're all feeling, especially with holiday season approaching, it's right hitting home that this holiday season is not going to be the same as it was in 2019 or 2018 or the decades previous. We're not quite back to normal, but the stock market is telling us that everything is green, everything's going up, everything is rosy. Let's be optimistic. And there are things to be optimistic about, but when you're talking about how the market applies to retirement planning, I think you and I, Matt, are going to get into ways to think about that and ways to not get enamored by just the green that's going on in the screen right now, but how do we put steps in place to make a plan?
Absolutely. And that's a very good lead-in, Nick, to this topic again of trust your gut, because I think that everybody would agree. And I don't want to speak for everybody across the country, but every person that you and I've talked to that have listened to Income for Life and have been to incomeforlife.org and listened to the podcast all say something along the lines of, this is not going to continue. And when they say that, they're talking about the market going up and all of these gains. There's no way that this can continue down the road. Yes, this is an all-time high. Yes, my 401k has never been higher. Yes, I love that. But trust your gut means, do you think that this is going to be able to continue longer term for you? Now, if you're 35, 40, 45 years old, then you're in a wonderful win-win situation with what is going on. Because if the market does dip down, good buying opportunity for you.
Time is on your side.
Time is on your side. But if you're 55, 60, 65 years old, then what is happening right now is potentially a gold mine opportunity for you. Because you have all these gains. All of these massive gains in your accounts that you have already earmarked for retirement. This is my retirement money. They have never been higher. So everybody's always looking for signals, right, Nick?
Yeah.
You're always like, okay, I need a signal of, let's go ahead and scrape that. Let's harvest these gains. Let's move this out of the market while the getting's good. It just happens to be, it has never been at a higher mark than it is right now, right at the time you need to be doing this. So if you just step back, kind of like what you said, Nick, you just kind of step back and look at it and you realize, okay, I'm not 40 years old anymore. I'm 62 years old. I'm a few years away from retirement. This account value has never been higher than it is right now. And my trust your gut moment says it won't go much higher than it is now. And my gut also says if it's going to move anyway, it will probably go down. Correct. More so than it will go up. So wouldn't you agree that this is the perfect time, if you are at retirement age, to be able to get some of that money out of the market, put it into a guaranteed lifetime income stream, take advantage of the 3 C's of retirement that we talk about all the time, the checkbook, the calendar, and the clock. Get that taken care of with all-time high accounts and then still be able to play in the market. What are your thoughts on that?
Agree completely, Matt. And I think when we look at at how we're saying to trust your gut as opposed to what's going on in the market. What we mean by that is simply now is the time, because we're back to where we were previous this pandemic. We're even growing beyond that. Look at the market for what the market is. The market is a fantastic mechanism to vet information, use supply and demand to see where things are going to go in the future. But it is not a perfect mechanism for retirement planning.
Not at all.
We can't utilize the financial markets as our sole tool when we're talking about retirement planning. They are two different things. So we need to utilize the market for what it is. It's a growth mechanism to be able to help our retirement assets, our nest egg, grow. But then we need to start to look at a wider picture of, can we take advantage of where the market is right now to start locking in our retirement plan? Start to utilize other investment tools that are at our disposal to be able to start to lock in and solidify our 3 C's, the checkbooks, the calendars, and the clocks that are going to maintain that lifestyle that you have in retirement. Far too often, when we're talking to our clients or we're just talking to people in the public, they look at the market and they fear missing out. They fear that next hurdle that it's going to go above. Well, what if I miss out on another 10% growth or 15% growth? When you're 30, you can take that chance. When you're 60, right now is the time to start looking at, it's not about missing out. It's about shaving off structures of your retirement plan to be able to focus on what you need to focus on and let the other stuff grow. And until that point, you're worried. You're hoping for the next 10%, but you're worried it's going to go down 20. And a 20% loss is going to hurt you way more than 10% more growth. And that's where we need to start talking about our clients' plans, the listener's plan. What is your plan? What have you done? And how are you enacting steps to make sure that's set up for you?
And we talked about that, I believe it was 1 or 2 shows ago, where we talked about how losses hurt more than gains help you. So whenever you know that, and I feel like, Nick, that there's a lot of things that we talk about on this show that you and I talk about are common sense, common sense retirement planning.
Yeah.
This is just the way that people should look at retirement planning. And you and I have said it multiple times that the longer we're in this industry, because between the two of us now, we're approaching close to 40 years in this industry.
Yeah.
The longer you go in this industry, the easier retirement planning becomes to us, because it literally just comes down to the common sense checkbook, calendar, and clock. So if you are just like what Nick just said, if you're out there listening right now and you are one of those people where you were saying, well, I don't want to miss out, right? I think that it's going to go up another 5-10%. Look how well it has done over the past 10 years. And maybe you have people in your circle, maybe they could be a family member or another financial advisor or an accountant or somebody like that, that is also stating those things. Well, look how well it's done over the past 5-10 years. Stay there. Just keep doing that. Okay, I understand that philosophy, but on the flip side of that, you're 10 years older than where you were when that philosophy would probably apply. So when we talk about trust your gut, and we get into this article from Fortune magazine discussing how to have a happy retirement, it's literally giving you the tools to be able to shift. We often call it the retirement shift.
Yeah.
Nick, and you and I talk about it all the time. It is shifting mentally, typically is how that starts, shifting into the trust your gut sort of a mentality. Agreed?
Agree completely. And when we start to talk about our clients, it's easy for us. It's difficult to actually make the changes mentally, let alone financially, that you need to make. So it's walking each and every client through their unique situation. Lots of times we get caught up in the missing out. We hear our golf buddy at the country club or a member of our book club talking about their new investment that did fantastic. What we don't know is maybe they already have all the other aspects of their retirement plan, their income plan already solidified, and you don't. So you need to focus on, start talking to your trusted advisor or give us a call here to make sure that you got the steps in place where you can take some of those risks, feel comfortable living the lifestyle that you have, and until that point, don't get caught up in watching the screen, hearing your friends and other family members talk about how great their investments are doing, until you have all the aspects of your retirement income plan solidified.
Correct.
At that point in time, you'll feel very comfortable.
Yes.
Taking their advice and doing the things they're doing, and you never know where everybody's at in their unique situation. Where we get into it is solving each person's unique situation. What are their needs, wants, and goals? How can we enact that plan to be able to safely and happily let them reach those goals? And I think that's what the Fortune magazine article is going to talk about. I'm excited to hear you kind of dig into it, Matt.
We're going to dive into that here.
And we'll post it for everybody to read too. But it comes down to, until your unique plan is solidified and we got the steps in place for you to walk through it, talking about and hearing all this other noise on the outside, you got to trust your gut and start to get back to, do I need to focus on what I need to focus on, not these outside influences?
Absolutely. And it comes down to also just, you have to do what's right for you.
Correct.
And that time of when it is right for you, like when do I retire, right? When do I turn on Social Security? When do I do all these things? I don't know how many times, Nick, we have had clients that have came to us and says, I think I know what I want. I just don't know how to do it. Yes. Because everybody understands that 401ks are not pensions. Everyone understands that Social Security is underfunded. Everybody understands that they cannot live on Social Security alone. So they've been accumulating this money that is now hopefully at an all-time high.
Yeah.
What do I do with it? Because now maybe they see a television commercial, or maybe they hear a radio ad, or maybe they went to a dinner event, or they watched a webinar, whatever it might be. Well, maybe they've went to multiple of these, and everybody is kind of telling you different things, and it gets very confusing. So what do most people do when confusion sets in? They freeze up.
Correct.
And they don't shift, even if they know what they need to do. So I don't know how many times, Nick, we have had clients that have said, well, man, I didn't know that retirement could be this easy. I didn't know that this is how it is supposed to be. I fully expected to be completely confused. And you guys showed me something that not only makes sense, but it's clearly the right thing to do. So we are going to dive into this Fortune article because the goal of proper retirement planning is to make sure that you can stay retired. We talk about it all the time. It's on our website at incomeforlife.org. Retiring is easy. 10,000 people retire per day. We know this. But staying retired is difficult. So that is what we specialize here at Income for Life, is helping you stay retired. So let's go through this article, Nick. Again, this is on Fortune magazine, and it's very interesting because they're talking about how a guaranteed lifetime income can make you happier. And what they state on here, and they have some bullets that we're going to go through, but they are discussing, do you have a plan for happiness in retirement? And I'm just going to read just little bit in the beginning of this. It says, over the past several years, a number of studies have been conducted on happiness in retirement and what people can do to achieve it. One such study, cited by the Wall Street Journal, provided 7 key points as to how retirees can achieve more happiness. So we're going to go through those points, and Nick, I want to get your opinion.
Yes.
As we go through these.
Well, and even before you start there, Matt, I think that lends itself to exactly what we talk about on this podcast all the time. It's about solidifying your 3 C's. Once those 3 C's are taken care of, that's when happiness throughout the rest of your retirement life can really flourish.
And how many times have we talked about it? Yep. The goal is to have that,
correct.
I got paid, right?
Yep. Getting
that paycheck, getting that checkbook filled every single month is the key to a happy retirement.
It'll be interesting to see what Fortune says about it.
So let's go through this. The very first one that they discuss on these bullets for a happy retirement, they call it value your time. Value your time. Because in retirement, you're usually free to do as you wish. So number 1, value your time. The number 2, think ahead as you transition into retirement. While it can be a happy time, it's important to ensure that you are also financially ready.
That's that retirement shift that you just mentioned earlier.
There's the shift right there. Think ahead as you transition into retirement. Number 3, this one's pretty common sense, but it's live within your means. All right?
Common sense, but more difficult as the years go on.
Maintain a lifestyle that you can reasonably afford. That's important. Again, common sense would normally say, but some people don't.
And it becomes more difficult if you've lived within your means to create a great nest egg. In retirement, it's easy to follow that same rhythm and rhyme. If you haven't done that throughout your accumulation lifestyle, it is more difficult to do it in retirement.
Absolutely.
That means setting that plan, making that plan with your trust advisor is even more important as we set out and how we're going to utilize that nest egg to last as long as you need it to last.
And let's think about that, because a lot of people don't live within their means, and we see this all the time.
Yep.
Well, those people that transition to retirement are used to getting that paycheck every 2 weeks or every week or whatever it was. And maybe they were just getting by because they were living a little bit too high. Now they don't have that paycheck coming anymore.
Correct.
So now they got Social Security, which Social Security was only designed to replace about 40 to 50% of your income. So now they have that. So they're like, okay, what am I going to do? So living within your means in retirement is very important. And that was number 4 on the fortune list here. The next one is interesting. You and I kind of got a chuckle on this, is choose your neighbors carefully. And I want to read what they say here because it makes sense. It says, be sure that you don't make yourself feel like you have to keep up with the Joneses, as this could quickly deplete your retirement savings. So choosing your neighbors carefully is an interesting topic.
Well, it seems like that's a detail and probably a very important one to help with the above one. Live within your means.
Exactly right.
If you choose maybe the incorrect or above your means neighborhood to live in, then you're always going to have that thing in your mind that we need to get a new car, when maybe you don't. We need to get a new house, or we need to get some more toys, or we need to do whatever when you don't need to.
We need to get that condo at the Villages.
Correct.
Whatever it might be, right? We need to have that summer home in Florida.
And lots of times, because it is a mental shift into retirement, it can be a lot different. Many of our clients have focused so hard during their accumulation life that they didn't really pay attention to all the outside keep up with the Joneses stuff. They were focused on work and family and kids and saving and all the things that they needed.
College funding, weddings, all that stuff.
All that stuff. Now that stuff is behind them and they're not working anymore. So they have much more time and their attention span is on things that they never focused on before.
Right.
So it's being able to come back to a core of what do we need to focus on? And that's what we've labeled the 3 C's, man.
Absolutely. And then the next topic that Fortune goes into is kind of on the opposite end of this choosing your neighbors wisely and living within your means. The next one is work in retirement even if you don't need to. It says working can become a social outlet, allowing your time to be spent with others and less stress during your pre-retirement career. So as we're talking about live within your means, don't try to keep up with the Joneses. Maybe working in retirement to do that thing that maybe you've wanted to do, but maybe you couldn't because it couldn't pay you what you were getting at your other job.
Yep.
And giving you that social capability with people. Maybe that's an important thing too. And I like how they discuss that here.
I do too. And I think it comes into once you have your 3 C's taken care of, meaning your lifestyle in retirement is solidified. You're not worried about that. You're not working to pay the bills. You're working because you want to. You're working at a thing that you want to do. If it's helping at the school, driving a school bus, whatever it is, you're doing it. Yes, you earn a little bit more income, but you're doing it to interact with the community. You're doing it to help out. You're doing it to make yourself and your neighborhood feel good.
Correct.
That's when all this can be really, really useful. But you can't do that. If you're working to pay the mortgage, if you still have one in retirement, or you're working to pay off debt in retirement, then that becomes a long haul.
Right.
And
then
that's
it's
a different
hard.
story. That's hard.
And that's a perfect example of retiring is easy, but staying retired is difficult. That's
a great point.
Perfect example of that.
I like this
So work in retirement even if you don't need to. That's an interesting one. This next one is also very interesting too because it goes into the emotional side of retirement, and it's invest in friendship. Regularly seeing good friends brings a higher mental and emotional boost than any material means that you may purchase. So investing in friendship in retirement is vital because as we know, when a lot of people, whenever they retire, they feel lost mentally. They're like, what am I going to do now?
You're not going into the office. You're not seeing people all the time. So it becomes, now that you have more time, what are you going to focus that time on?
Right.
And there's a lot of introspection that can happen if you're going to study a new language or read books or do whatever, but making sure that you connect with the outside friends is I think, paramount.
And
that's
that
really cool.
is so important because a lot of people don't really understand the emotional difficulty in retirement.
Yes.
When you get close to retirement, you start picking that up and you start thinking about it. But whenever you're younger, what do younger people say? Oh, I can't wait till I retire because then I don't have to go to work anymore. But then you get to retirement and it's like, oh crap, I don't have to go to work anymore. The scary part of retiring is losing connection, losing those friendships, losing those attachments, or maybe not losing it, but the fear of losing it.
Correct. And not keeping that day-to-day going, not having a plan. And that's where, when we think about it, it's kind of like you don't know till you know. People tell you it's going to be different when you retire.
Right.
It's going to be this when you retire. You don't know until you have kids. You don't know what it's like to be married until you're married. You don't know what it's like to be retired until you retire. What you need to do is make a plan for how you're going to react once you retire, what you're going to do, who you're going to keep in touch with, how that's going to go. And you can't really do that. You don't feel comfortable and confident doing that until you got your plan.
You have to have your plan in place, and you have to have that
Correct.
the checkbook, the calendar, and the clock. You have to have that security of knowing that you are going to be paid and you're able to do these things. And the last topic that Fortune magazine discusses is exactly what you and I have been talking about at incomeforlife.org and on the Income for Life show since the very beginning of time, Nick. And Fortune magazine's last topic of how a guaranteed lifetime income can make you happier is buy yourself income. Buy yourself income. Retirees who receive traditional company pensions are happier than those who must rely on the savings that they've accumulated in a 401k or other types of retirement savings plans. This is because there's a sense of security that comes with having a predictable stream of income.
Love it.
Think about that. How many times have we said that, where the ideal happy retirement is checkbook, calendar, clock, checkbook, how much is in there, calendar, when is more money coming in every month, and clock, how long will that last my entire lifetime? All of the things above that we just listed, the value your time, live within your means, choose your neighbors carefully, work in retirement if you would like, invest in friendship, all of those require a sensible plan when it comes to income.
Oh, yeah.
And without that income stream, none of those other things are going to be nearly as gratifying as you were hoping, because financial is the number one concern.
I agree. And we talk about it all the time, Matt. And it's kind of a weird period right now simply because we talk about the baby boomers as being the wealthiest generation that we've had so far. They have accumulated the most amount of money. Their parents, the greatest generation, probably had more fun and an easier retirement lifestyle because they didn't have to do as much, meaning they had Social Security and they had the pension.
They had the pension plan.
The baby boomers may have accumulated a ton of assets, a big retirement nest egg, but they don't know what to do with it. It's not structured for them just to continue that income going forward. They have to be proactive. They have to go talk to somebody, create an income plan, and start to think of other ways that you can kind of create that personal pension. It's not a corporate pension that's done for you. You got to go create it yourself.
You got to be your own pension manager.
You do. And how do you do that? Who do you talk to? It's not as complicated as it seems, but you got to be proactive to go talk to somebody, set a plan, look at all the tools at your disposal, not just the stock market.
Correct.
It's not just stock market and cash. It's not just the bank or the stock market. There's other tools at your disposal to be able to create these income streams that you need to. It's not going to work out for baby boomers the same way it did for their parents.
Correct. And whenever we had discussed on one of our previous shows about one of our manuals, that is creating your retirement paycheck.
Great point.
We discussed in that show and in that manual where your retirement plan changes the minute you leave your own retirement party. As soon as you leave that party, your whole entire retirement has officially changed. Whether you're ready for it or not, that shift is going to happen, and it's going to be aggressive if you're not ready for it. So if you have, like we just talked about, everybody understands that the stock market is not a good indicator for retirement purposes because you have how much assets you have is irrelevant. We've talked about this on so many shows.
Income is king.
Income is king when it comes to proper retirement planning, because how much assets you have does not mean anything, because those could be lost. Assets can be lost. A market downturn, a death, a medical claim, a divorce, all of these different things that can drastically affect your asset total are always going to be present. But the biggest one out of all of them is the risk of longevity. What if you retire at 65, 66, and you live to 95, 96? You got 30 years that this money must be guaranteed for your entire life. Whereas 40 years ago, the average life expectancy would have been 10 years in retirement, maybe, give or take. Now it's closer to 30. So in order to have a happy retirement, like Fortune magazine is discussing here, the biggest thing, guaranteed lifetime income.
Correct. And you got to work out your individual pension to supplement Social Security and the other savings that you have. It's not a given from your corporate career.
Perfect. And ironically, that leads right into continuing this article, Nick, because in this article, they state, what is your happiness plan? And there's a question that they have right on here that was proposed to them. It says, what if you don't have a traditional company pension that can provide you with a set amount of monthly income for the rest of your life? They say you may want to look into a fixed indexed annuity. It says it right here in the Fortune magazine article.
One of the tools that we talk about.
One of the options that is available to you.
To be able to create that personal pension, to be able to guarantee that the rest of that income part of it.
And a lot of people don't understand that. Some people, as we've always discussed, Nick, they look at the word annuity and they wrinkle their nose, right? Or they have negative thoughts about an annuity product. But they don't realize that they actually love these annuity products. They just didn't know that they did. If you like the idea of a pension, then you like the idea of an annuity. If you like the idea of Social Security, then you like the idea of an annuity. Because annuities are designed to do exactly what those do. Guaranteed lifetime income for the rest of your life, no matter how long you live. There's different types of annuities, and the one that Fortune magazine is talking about is a fixed indexed annuity. And you can get a hold of us at incomeforlife.org, and you can learn all about these 4 different types of annuity products to see which one would work best for you. But the one that Fortune likes is the indexed annuity.
Well, and it comes down to making your plan. It's figuring out what tools are most appropriate for your plan and what you want to achieve. Annuities can be a fantastic mechanism to be able to help guarantee that, figuring out which one is right for you, and you'll feel a lot more comfortable about the choices you make once you have the whole plan taken care of.
Absolutely. And you can go to incomeforlife.org if you happen to be listening on a podcast right now and you're not on our website. Go to incomeforlife.org and click on our annuity tab, and you can absolutely learn about
a ton.
You can learn about these different types of annuities. But I want to continue in this next paragraph in this Fortune magazine article, Nick, and I want to read this to you because it's almost as if they've been listening to our podcasts. Okay? Here's what they say. By choosing the lifetime income option on a fixed indexed annuity, you'll be able to ensure a regular stream of guaranteed income for the remainder of your life. And by opting for the joint life income option, both you and your spouse can receive guaranteed lifetime income for the remainder of your lives. Knowing that a certain amount of income will be arriving each month can eliminate a great deal of stress for retirees. These financial vehicles can help ensure that living expenses will be paid no matter what occurs in the market or the overall economy.
Seems like it comes straight out of our podcast and what we talk about every day. It really is something that I know people are a little bit apprehensive. They can be scared because there's so many things out there. But once you start to talk about your plan of what that's going to be in retirement, these tools, they fit in there a lot easier than just feel like you're being sold something. It's a tool as part of a plan to create the lifestyle that you want, and you need to talk to somebody to be able to help you walk through it.
And it makes sense. I mean, once you start to understand how these types of products, for example, work and how they fit, the primary goal of these products, of these different 4 types of annuities, is guaranteed lifetime income. That's the goal of an annuity. Everything else that annuity products are capable of doing are secondary. The primary goal is guaranteed lifetime income. So yeah, there's different types of annuities. You see the commercials on TV all the time. You see that whale with Pac Life jumping out of the water. You see Voya with the little bunnies and the little money bunnies and all that stuff. New York Life, Nationwide with old Peyton Manning. and they're up there doing all of their stuff. You see this stuff all the time. It's just they're not going to tell you in that commercial how to do this because they want you to call in. They want you to call them to learn how to do this, but everybody sees it everywhere, don't you agree?
Correct. And what they're trying to do is get you to call in to set up your plan with them.
With them.
And you know what's going to be placed in their plans is their products. And what we want to make sure is that your plan is as free and as dynamic as it possibly can be to be able to set and use the products that best fit you, not what somebody wants to sell you.
Absolutely. And so whenever you're looking at the 10,000-foot view, just to kind of get your brain wrapped around how is my retirement plan going to work, and you finally settle in on the thought of, okay, I have to have my retirement income first. That's the primary goal. Having that set up first, everything else can then be gravy. If I do want to work,
Correct.
right? If I do want to maybe get that vacation home, if I do want to, help at the church or do whatever I want to do, I can do all of those things once I have the peace of mind of the guaranteed paycheck and income for life.
Love it.
Once you have that set up, everything else is easier. So again, with this article that we're talking about here from, again, Fortune Magazine, I think these guys have been listening to our podcast, but it's exactly what we talk about all the time. But how a guaranteed lifetime income can make you happier. I would just propose this to anybody that's listening to our show. Do you know anybody out there that has a pension now? Because they're out there. There's people out there that are right now living on a pension.
Few and farther between nowadays, but yeah, there are some people.
But there are, right? Go talk to one of those people. Go up and just walk right up to them if you know them well enough and just say, hey, you're retired. You have this corporate pension. How does that make you feel? What does that guaranteed income feel like? Because I personally have a neighbor across my street, and he has been retired for the past 20 years. And whenever I first moved in to our house now, he was one of the first ones to come up, and he was very excited to tell me that he was retired. And he loved it, and he's coming over. He goes, yeah, I'm retired. He's kind of our neighborhood guy, right? He's just a fun guy to be around. But he's fun because he's happy. He doesn't have to work, and he has a guaranteed paycheck coming in from his pension every single month for the rest of his life.
Love it.
So when you meet these people, they interact differently. They don't have the stress. They do not have the worry. They're not watching that ticker like you're talking about, the green and the red, and they don't have the ulcers and everything bubbling up in their stomach when they're watching this because it doesn't matter to them.
Can focus on what's important to them as opposed to possible things that could affect their retirement.
It's a different mentality.
Correct.
So if you do not have a corporate pension available, which sadly, you and I both know, Nick, not very many have it anymore.
Correct.
Now that you know that you don't have a corporate pension to fall back on, yet you have these accounts that are hopefully, knock on wood, at an all-time high because the market is now approaching 30,000 on the Dow, which is baffling to me. But you have this money source that is massive, right? And you are 60, 63, 65 years of age. You know that you have to start planning this lifetime income stream. Is there a better time, Nick? And I'd ask you this, and I'm asking this to anybody listening to this right now. If you are that person, is there a bigger signal? Is there a more in-your-face opportunity than right now to be able to take advantage of all these gains and to get your income plan started? Is there a better opportunity than right now?
I don't think so. And the reason is because right now we need to start to make the plan for how we're going to live retirement and start talking with an expert. Right now we've overcome a massive year. Pandemic, everything's still going on. The market has crept back. If you still have your nest egg and you don't have a plan and you don't have the steps in place, now is the best time to start to talk to somebody, get those steps put in place so that the fluctuations going forward, the volatility that we know is going to happen on a go-forward basis, because let's just say the underlying economy is not as good now as it was last November.
Correct.
So for the market to be at all-time highs, it doesn't really support what the market's doing right now. The market as a mechanism is looking forward. trading, day trading, and doing what it needs to do to make money today, not what it needs to do to help clients retire today.
Correct. And if you're looking back, and let's just go back 10, 12, 15 years, this emotional struggle of going into retirement is going to exist from now until the end of time. It's been existed for 50 years previously. It's going to be 50 years into the future. So if you go back and you look 15 years ago, the signals, if you would, the trends of what is going on to try to get yourself into the mindset of I need to pull the trigger and get this retirement income plan were not as glaring as they are right now. Because 15 years ago, maybe the market was a little bit volatile. We were coming out of the 2008 fiasco. And if you were in retirement then, it was like, man, I need to, I don't know what I'm going to do. I just lost 45% of my nest egg. There was volatility, but it wasn't like it is right now. Because I guarantee you, if you were 60 years old in 2008, now you talk to that person that is now 75 years old, that person will tell that now 60-year-old person, you're sitting on a gold mine and you're not doing anything about it. Because when I was 60 years old, all of this mess was going on. The market was all over the board. It was nowhere near where it is right now. But you, Mr. 60-year-old now, me being the wise 75-year-old, you are sitting on a gold mine of 10 to 15 years of stock market gains in a time where it should not have been happening. And you are so lucky to be able to get that moved out of there with all-time high record highs in the market. Why don't you? So we're going to have a lot of that going on right now as well, wouldn't you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a great example of being able to try to take the emotion out of how we're thinking about investing, out of what the stock market is doing right now, and focus on our plan. If you don't have that plan, you don't have those 3 C's taken care of, it doesn't matter what the market is doing right now. You haven't solidified your go-forward retirement lifestyle.
Correct.
So take advantage of what we have right now. Take advantage of the opportunity that the market has rebounded. We don't know how long this is going to stay like this, because as we go forward, the economy is changing at a more rapid pace than I think we ever thought it would. Meaning it was always kind of going to digital and social media and all these kind of things. But now because of the pandemic and people being at home, quarantined, what would happen in about 6 months was probably going to happen in 6 to 10 years. We've just advanced that process a lot quicker.
Correct.
So we need to look at how this feels, what we think the economy is going to be going forward, but we don't know what that's going to be. And there's going to be a lot of volatility between now and then.
But all we do know right now is that my account has never been higher.
Correct. What we do know is what we can take control of.
Absolutely. Control what you can control.
Correct.
We say it all the time.
And it's not about what the stock market does. It's about your plan. You need to start enacting your plan. And right now, while the stock market's high, is a great time. There's never been a better time.
Never been a better time.
To start setting this stuff and make it
all the signals are there.
Correct.
All you have to do is give us a call. Visit incomeforlife.org. If you're not on our website right now, give us a call. And we will simply walk you through our ideas and our thoughts and our beliefs on the 3 C's of retirement, and then find out how those apply to you in a way that will make sense to you. So
make the planning process as simple and easy to follow as we possibly.
And we can do this right over the phone. So absolutely give us a call, set up a time to meet with us, and we will go through that. And also, as we said on this podcast, this article with Fortune Magazine, go take a look at it. You can read it. You can go through it yourself. You can find out your own input on it, what you think about it. But definitely go and take advantage of this particular article. Now, Nick, as we wrap up today's show, like we always do, we're always wanting to extend an offer out to Mr. Patrick Mahomes from the world champion Kansas City Chiefs. I think he has some pretty big Thanksgiving plans. I'm sad that we weren't able to get to him today. Maybe after the holidays, maybe things will clean up a little bit.
Sunday night, he was busy.
He was a little busy Sunday.
He was busy. And I understand that with the holiday season coming up, he's busy working, friends and family, all of that stuff. We get it. But hopefully, in the very near future, we can carve out some time.
We can maybe get to him.
Yep.
If it fits into our show, we can definitely get Pat on the phone. Oh, wait a minute. It's not Pat. It's Patrick. We got to make sure that we are very clear about that.
Correct.
One of our listeners a couple of weeks ago, Nick, made sure to let me know that no, it is Patrick, because his mother made it very clear that it is Patrick and not Pat.
Super Bowl MVP.
Super Bowl MVP, future Hall of Famer, Patrick Mahomes. And again, Patrick, you're always welcome here on the Income for Life show. So one of these days, we're going to be able to get this figured out where we can get you on there. But in the meantime, we would like to thank everybody for listening to this Income for Life show podcast today, which we call Trust Your Gut. Hopefully, we got some information about what it takes to properly retire and be able to stay retired. And again, I would like to send out a big thank you to our Folds of Honor colleagues and everybody that we are working with within Folds of Honor. We appreciate you powering the Income for Life show like you normally do. Thank you again, everyone. Have a great holiday season and enjoy your Thanksgiving break.
Thanks for listening to the Income for Life show. If you have any questions about something we talked about today or want to get in touch with the Income for Life team, just give a call to 833-450-3068. That's 833-450-3068. You can also go online to incomeforlife.org and check the description of today's show for any relevant resources and contact information. You can also find the podcast on all major podcasting apps, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and many more locations. The Income for Life show is powered by Folds of Honor, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to providing educational scholarships to the families of America's fallen and disabled service members. For more information, visit foldsofhonor.org. Information provided on today's show is for informational purposes only and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. Information is obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but their accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed. Always consult with a qualified professional before taking any action.